anyways, I am excited to be here and just share a little bit of our story and some tips on sex, yeah, like that one, tips on sex. Whoa, from an ex-nun, that's a good one. Sex, religion, and God, and Catholic Church, Episcopal Church. I'm going to sort of go a different way. So I want to start off with a bang. 1 year ago today, we had the launch of None Better. It was at the Wild River Pizza Restaurant in Brookings, Oregon. Has anybody ever been to Brookings, been to this? Okay, we had between 125 and 150 people show up, mostly friends from where I worked and in the community, and it was huge. We had roses, it was a celebration, a true celebration, and I don't even know how many books we've sold, but a lot of books. And I just remember signing, hugging, and it was just an outstanding event. That was 1 year ago today. When I first started to write the book, it was July 13th of 22. Carol had passed January 30th of 22. Thanks to Daniel Perry Walkup, who introduced me to Catherine. Catherine and I actually connected in June, and because Daniel had told Catherine, Joanie and Carol have this incredible story, I think they need to write a book. So Catherine talks to me and says, you should write a book. I don't read books. I don't write books. That is not my world. So Carol and I thought, okay, well, we sort of started this like about 2 months before that, and this is the original book. This is the original book. And when Carol had her stroke in 2014, this went in a drawer. But when I started to clean up the house to make it my house, not our house, I found this. So I took it to the prayer corner and I said, Jesus, God, should I write this book? And it was an automatic yes. That happened about an hour before Catherine talked to me. And then I got another phone call from Daniel. No, I got the phone call from Daniel first, then you, all within just hours of itself. So synchronicity, or whatever you call that, connectivity, the timing was incredible. So then I phoned my sister Gail, and I said, Gail, I'm writing a book. And she says, you don't read books, you don't write books. She said, just a minute, let me get my coffee. So she started doodling this at her kitchen counter in Carlsbad, California, while I'm telling her I'm going to write a book. And that's when she told me about my grandniece, had a picture for it. So that's where it started. 2 weeks later, Catherine has said, you need to talk to my sister, Elizabeth Atkins, the other sister of Two Sisters Writing, who lives in Detroit, Michigan. And she goes, I think you should probably take her coaching class. I go, that I can relate with. I'm a sports person, so I know about coaching. I coached for 20 years of my life. I thought, if I'm going to do this, I need a coach. Thanks be to God, Elizabeth was the coach of the best person in the world for me. So I started writing, and she coached me as I wrote, which is my style of coaching. You do something right, they can tell you what you're doing right. You do something not so good, they'll tell you it's not so good. And so that continued on, and so July 13th, I started writing. I finished writing December 14th. I cried my way through this. I had a little hand problem. I had surgery recently to fix that. So this book here was typed with 4 fingers on 1 finger. That's how I typed this book, and it just flowed out of me. I swear that Jesus wrote it, Carol wrote it, and I wrote it. There were times the Spirit was moving so much, and you know this, Janelle, the Spirit was moving so much, I had no idea what was coming out on my fingers. I just had no idea. And it was like Elizabeth just kept saying, keep writing, keep writing, keep writing. And she goes, and I said, well, what about numbers? What about chapters? She goes, no, just keep writing, keep writing. So I wrote 534 pages. Well, then she says, okay, that's too much, we have to cut it. So we have to cut it. I go, cut it? That's 40 years of my life. How can I cut a whole bunch of stuff, like 200 pages? And she goes, you need to do it because there's no way. I go, you're probably right because no one's going to buy a book that big and read it. No way. And so we cut it down to 300 pages. So what do you do with the extra 200? So she says, well, you can think about writing some more books. I'm going, oh my gosh, I haven't even finished this one. And then she goes, you could do podcasts. I go, that I can do. I've got a mouth. I can do that one. And she goes, well, let's just talk about that later. So anyways, that's why these are coming out June 1st. There's a little bit of the stuff that was in didn't get into this book. And it's also included, I said, well, so then what happened was, I said, Elizabeth, I'll only write these books if you co-author them with me. I'm back to the team thing. I'm a team player. So she's like, I've never done that. That sounds great. Let's do it. So it's like, yes, we got this. So between her and me, and then I said, and we need other people to contribute. Hi, Mars.
I'm sorry I'm late.
That's okay. That's okay. This is Mars, everybody. And so what happened was that I said, well, we need to have other people write in it. And she goes, we do? And I said, yes, I've showed Catherine the index cards of all the events. I did 10,000 miles on my car, 4 airline trips, 34 book events. I think that was the final number. And I had all these insights and all these questions that people were asking. And so I thought, those have to go in the book. And I heard so many stories from people. Oh my gosh, I was crying with joy and crying with sadness. And I just loved that whole thing of talking with people at pride events, private events, church events, ecumenical events, even the people that hated me. And I'm going to tell some stories about that tonight. All those stories we compiled. And so, I shouldn't say all of them, but we contacted over 30 people that would be willing to contribute their story to these books. So this book is on pre-order right now, if you want to order it. Two Sisters Writing and Publishing. Click on the bookstore and you can pre-order it. I will come back and sign it, I promise. I will come back and sign it. And we have cards over here. Catherine, can you show those, please? So these are the cards. Pick them up or pass them out, pass them around. Take as many as you need, because that describes, and you can go into the website and it will describe what we're writing about. And Elizabeth, as of today, she goes, the book is looking good. It's taking shape. So we have to have it all done within the next month. So that's our timeline. So am I talking way too fast? Because I'm excited. I'm excited. Okay, so that's the story of the book. That's the story of the book. Right now, it's in 5 continents. 8 countries have ordered it, not knowing anybody in those countries. So that's pretty incredible. It's a top Amazon 100. In July, it hit number 79, and then 74, and then it went down to 24. So it was in the top 25 for 4 months. Amazon ebooks under the category LGBTQ, parents and family. And that just cracks me up, because we were never a biological mother to anybody, Carol and I. But we were mothers in a lot of ways. Do you know what I mean by that? Anybody else sort of like a surrogate parent to people, you know? And so that's how our family is. So anyway, we have those accolades. And then we have the Q Spirit, top 23 Q Spirit Christian books. That is the award of my life. It even surpasses when I got the Billie Jean King Award in high school for sports. But this is huge. I'm a Christian book author. Top 23 and 23. That just blows me away. I know, isn't that the coolest thing? Who could have imagined? Who could have imagined? And everywhere I go, I know Angel Carol is a part of it. And sometimes I burst into tears. And Janelle, you've seen me do that before. And Andrew's seen me do that before too. And all of a sudden, I'll just lose it. You know, so if that happens today, just be ready. And I don't see any Kleenex box, but that's okay. We'll deal with it. Okay, so let me start off with a story. The Pope. Pope Francis is a Catholic Pope. And back in March of last year, on the 21st of March, I said, I'm going to send him this book. I'd already had the book launch, March 19th. March 21st, I'm going to send him this book. So I sent him this book. Yeah. So didn't hear anything. I sent one to President Joe Biden. And lo and behold, President Joe Biden said, oh, that's a really cool book, Joanie. So he sent me a letter with his signature on it. And I'll put this on the counter so I'll just pass it around. Okay, so it's about the Marriage Equality Act. So all of a sudden, I am being the voice for, are they there? I am now the voice for the LGBTQ world, especially in Curry County, our little county. Okay, and it's like amazing. So, and I sent the book to other people too. I sent it to Billie Jean King, and I sent it to all these really top kind of names. And I thought, what do I have to lose? What do we have to gain? What do we need to do to live every day to the max? Because that was another saying Carol and I had. Because we needed to be courageous, free, and healed. And that was all part of everything. So how do I mail this book to the Pope? Get my car, this is none better license plate, head down to the Port of Brookings to the little mail place, and I go in there and want to mail this to the Pope. And so they go through all the paperwork on the computer, and then they go, after 15 minutes, Joanie, we can't send this. I go, really? Why is that? Well, it's an import-export rule. You need to go to the main post office. Okay, so I get in my car, head over to the main post office, get up to the counter. I'd like to send this book to the Pope, Pope Francis. Okay, you need to fill out this paperwork. Yikes. It's like 5 or 6 copies thick, Would you please stand over here and fill it out? So I go over here to fill it out, and name of recipient, first name. I look around. Does anybody know the Pope's first name? People shaking their heads. Pope.
There you go.
Last name. Oh, does anybody know the Pope's last name? I'm having a conversation with everybody in the post office at this time, trying to figure out, what do I do here? I had an address, but I didn't have a first name. I didn't have a last name. Okay, then it says company. Company.
Roman Catholic Church.
That's what I did. Roman Catholic Church. And then it had something else on there. And so I'm just asking everybody around. And by this time, everybody's going, what are you doing? What are you doing? I go, I'm sending my book. What's your book? And so all of a sudden, it becomes the backpack story. So wherever I go, I carry books in my backpack. And I take them out and I just show people. Oh, I'm a new author. I'm a best-selling author. Look at this cover. Isn't it pretty? My sister helped design it. So I am selling books like crazy. Catherine has seen it. I think Andrew has seen me do it. Right out of my backpack. It doesn't matter where. Do you like my clothes today?
Yes.
I sold one to the lady in the dressing room. Is that cool? I have new pants and a new top that my sister said I should have. And so she goes, well, I've been married to my wife for 13 years. I've got to have this book. Today's my birthday. I'm going to buy it for me as my birthday gift. So here I am sitting I'm so glad I had clothes on. I'm sitting in the dressing room and I'm signing the book out of my backpack for this lady. And she is so excited. We take pictures. Everyone has to have photo ops, So anyway, so back to the Pope. Let's go back to the Pope. So months happen, months go by. Haven't heard anything. Then all of a sudden, December 18th, 2023, we hear on the news, Pope Francis has now made a declaration that in the Catholic Church, priests can bless same-sex. Is it individuals or is it couples? And it gets into this little war about it. At first it came out as couples, and then they changed it to individuals. And so all of a sudden my phone, my emails, I'm getting these almost hundreds of these calls. Joanie, the Pope's read your book. The Pope's read your book. This wouldn't have happened if you didn't do that. It's all because of your book. It's all because of your book. And then I go, oh my gosh, Father James Martin. And I just texted him today. He's the #1 Jesuit priest in the Catholic Church, and he is Pope Francis's LGBTQ go guy in the United States, and he lives back in New York City. And I said, can I mention you tonight, Father Jim? He goes, Joanie, absolutely. He's going to be in the books. He's written a thing for the books, by the way. And so I said, can I use your name tonight? He goes, yes, that would be awesome. Your story is so incredible. I keep talking to everybody about it. And I go, and the Pope? He goes, yeah. So I know. Can you just imagine in the Vatican, this pink book sitting on a table, and you can see a cardinal walking by? And then he puts it on something else, and another cardinal walks by. Oh, under the cassock. Whatever, but it's there. And so did this book have an influence on the Pope? I don't know that for sure. But you know what my heart says? Yes. I think it did, because I think it's the right time. I think it's the right time in our world to be courageous, joyously free, and healed. And we all have stories. How many of you are past nuns, former nuns? Oh my gosh, where have you guys been? Guess not, okay? Anybody church related? Okay. So how many of you are not church related but very spiritual? Yeah. Okay, and that's what Elizabeth and I have been going round and round about. She is very, very spiritual, even though her story of her family, and that'll be another story with Catherine and Elizabeth to share about your mother's book. Oh, The Triumph of Rosemary. Oh, I'm going to do it real quick.
Okay.
I'll do it real quick. Okay, Catherine's mother was 18 years old and the organist at a Catholic church. The priest there, Tom, they fell in love. And lo and behold, darn, that was against the Catholic Church. What's a priest going to do? What's a priest going to do when you're in love? What do 2 nuns do when you're in love? Get married. Get married, exactly. That's sort of like the thing, huh? Get married. Well, lo and behold, after what they went through and being excommunicated and the whole shazam, they did get married. And there's the byproduct. One of the byproducts right there is Catherine. And then her sister Elizabeth. And that's an incredible story in The Triumph of Rosemary. And it's the same with Carol and I. You fall in love. Who's ever been in love? Who's still in love? I can ask all kinds of questions about that. But you know what? When you're in love, you do whatever you have to do, don't you? And whether you want to get married or not, but that love is what sustains you. And if there's laws around it or rules around it, then somehow you got to get past it. When did I really become a spokesperson for this? About 20 years ago, when Carol had some cancer, endometrium cancer. And all of a sudden I realized we had no legal rights. We had no legal rights. She goes into the hospital. What can I do? I'm not family. Can't do anything about it legally. And that's when I started to speak up. And I said, no, I am her, oh my gosh, I'm her best friend. I'm her significant other. I'm her partner. And you go through all these different words. I'm her lover-dover. You go through all these different words to let the doctors know and the staff know and then the nurse and then everybody else in the medical field. Well, you don't have any I know it's illegal. Can't even do a domestic partnership yet. So we didn't do that till 2012. And then we kept going, oh no, the Catholic Church is going to change. We know they're going to change. They're going to allow same-sex marriage. Let's hold out. Let's hold out. 39 years we waited for the Catholic Church. How many of you would wait 39 years to get married or get committed? Yeah. Well, we were committed since day one. But that's anyways, so then finally in August 5th of 2020 is when we actually married. And that happened because we phoned some Catholic deacons, we phoned some Catholic priests. Would you marry us? No, we can't do that. We can't. That's against the Catholic faith. That's against Catholic Church teachings. And we thought, oh, come on, you've known us for years. We've been together for years. And I admire them because they stuck to their guns about the Catholic teachings. That's what the Catholic Church teaches, and they're sticking with it. I would have left the priesthood. Well, I left the convent. We left the convent. But that's their decision. They're sticking up for what they believe in. But do they really believe that? I think there's many priests and deacons and people within the Catholic Church or other churches that don't believe that, but yet they're bound to those teachings and laws. Carol and I didn't think of things in boxes. We didn't think in terms of labels. We just knew that we were in love, and when love is love, love is love. Is that right? Is that right, Mars? Yeah. So anyways, so we did get married finally because we called Father Bernie, the Episcopal priest, and he goes, how about Wednesday? And we said, yes. And how did we know Father Bernie? Because he was the chaplain at the care facility when Carol had her stroke. That's the only reason. That's how we got to know him. So then because of all that connection there with Father Bernie at the care facility, that led us to have a relationship, a really good, solid relationship with a person who accepted and celebrates everybody. And that's why I asked Janelle to lead the prayer tonight as an Episcopal priest, a female Episcopal priest. And Janelle was the very first female person I saw can celebrate, consecrate the bread and the wine to the body of Christ as a woman. And to me, that was just a thrill of my life. I don't know if you saw me in the pews that day. I just had tears just coming down my face of joy. Tears of joy, not sadness. Tears of joy coming down my face. Because you know what? I don't think God says, you're a white male, I think I'll make you a priest. You're a gay white person, you're not going to become a priest. I don't think God does that. God calls, in my view, God or the universe, whoever your higher being is, calls you for a purpose. Each one of you has a purpose in this life. And that comes back to being courageous, being healed, and being joyously free. When you find that purpose, that's what it's about. That's what it's about. So let me tell you some more stories throughout this. What's next on my story list? Joe in Utah. Joe in Utah. I went on a vacation. Oh, I got to change hats now. Okay. So this is my traveling hiking hat, and we'll put the shoes on. Okay, so these are my shoes. If you look on that cover, you can see. And these are my second shoes.
You run hiring.
Yes, they do. And if you notice, they're on the cover there. They're on the cover there. Okay, there they are. There they are. And yeah, they smell a little bit, but not too bad. So this is actually the shoes for this book. But I have this pair at home that went with the None Better book. Yeah, there they are. There. And then here's Carol's Here's Carol's pink socks and shoes. And we had the same size foot. Okay? So this is what Carol wore all the time, and this is what I wore all the time. Yeah, you want to touch them? You want to smell them? No. Anybody else want to touch them? They'll be up here. They'll be up here. Okay, so Joe. So I'm in Utah for vacation, and wherever I go, I steal things out of my backpack. So we are hiking, my sister and I, Arches. Anybody ever been to Arches? Arches National. Okay. So anyways, Joe and I we're just a little lagging behind my sister and behind his wife. And so let's just let them run. They're like antelope, and they're like just scouring over all these rocks and doing all this stuff. And Joe and I are just, we can make it to the next pole. We can make it to, because it's a steep climb all the way to the different things, you know? And so, and the altitude, oh my gosh, I'm used to sea level. That was a kicker. So anyhow, Joe and I are talking, and I said, well, Joe, have you ever seen this book before? Take it out of my backpack. I'm in the middle of the national place. And he's going, you're carrying a book in your backpack? I go, I love this book. How about taking a picture of me in Arches? So he took me a picture of me holding up the book in Arches. He goes, well, what's this book about? So I start talking to him about it. And he goes, I'm not happy with my Catholic church in Las Vegas. I'm really not happy at all. And I said, well, why are you not happy about it? He goes, they burn incense, and people can't breathe. That was one thing that ticked him off. And he goes, sometimes they do Latin masses, sometimes they do English masses, and it's like, I don't want to go backwards in time. I want to move forward. I want people to really understand what's going on at the Mass. And I said, well, would you like to be blessed? And he goes, can you bless me? I go, sure I can. I'm an Episcopalian now, Joe. And he's like going, really? And I go, yeah, I don't belong to the Catholic Church anymore. Would you like an Episcopal blessing? He goes, yeah, how do you do it? So I take out my vial. This is chrism oil. Do you know in the Episcopal Church, deacons don't bless? Lay people can breast. Oh boy, lay people can bless. Take a whiff of that. Isn't that nice? So chrism oil. So this is from Bishop Diana, which is the Bishop of Oregon, the Episcopal Bishop of Oregon. And so this is what I do. And I think Joe was probably one of about 200 people that I have blessed in the last year, and for whatever the reasons. And I bless. You're gonna sneak out?
Yeah,
okay.
thank you.
You betcha. Have a good flight.
Thank you.
Okay. How about a hug? How about a hug?
Oh, thank you.
Okay,
I've
all right.
enjoyed the book. Bless you.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else want to smell? Greg, have you smelled this before? In your youth? Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that beautiful? And so it is a holy blessing. And so I do it on the forehead or wherever. So I have a picture of myself and, I have a picture of myself blessing Joe. My sister snuck up behind me to take the picture. Yeah, that's good friendships. And so the oils have just become a part of who I am in this none better stuff. I never did that before. It's like, where the heck did that come from? It's like these doors keep opening for me, and I just sort of keep rolling with it because I think that it's more like a ministry now. It's a calling of what I'm doing because of this book. It's the weirdest thing. So anyways, that oil leads me to another story of being in Ashland at the Pride. I'm with Catherine. Who's ever heard of the Sisters of Indulgence? Oh, okay, so you know what I'm talking about. From San Francisco, right. And back in the day, they were mocking the Catholic Church. They were mocking the Catholic Church really, really fiercely. And so they are mostly lesbian women and or trans and or bi, whatever they are on the spectrum, okay? And what they do is they dress up in the old-fashioned Orthodox, help me out with their habits. Okay, I was going to say costume. And so, anyhow, they're at Ashland Pride Parade, and Catherine is there, and they come up, and we are just having oodles of incredible conversation. And I asked if they wanted to be blessed. They kneel down in Ashland. I get my oils out. By this time, there's 15 or 20 people that have gathered around. What is none better, dressed like this with my pink pants, my pink shirt, my my whirly bird's just going like crazy, you know, and here I am, they're kneeling down and I'm blessing them, not on their face because they have all kinds of wonderful white makeup, which for angelic purposes, I think, and so I'm putting it on their shoulder, and they are as pious as can be. And they are not mocking the church now, these three sisters, because they feel there is no avenue for a trans person to join a religious community. Is that incredible? Think about that. If a person is trans or out, what religious organization could they join and be accepted and celebrated if that was their calling? Think about that. It was just so profound. It was so profound. So anyways, that's the story of the oil, which leads me to other pride things that I've done. And this is my pride hat because it just is happy and it's twirling and all those kind of things. But the prides I have done have just been fabulously, I've had more people come out to me. They've never told anybody before that they were bi or lesbian or gay or queer or whatever the word that they use to describe themselves. I've had couples come forth and said, how did you do it? Do you talk about that in the book? How did you do this when you had to be so secret and you had to keep everything secret? I said, when love is love, you do what you have to do. You do what you have to do. So that's a story of Joe and the Sisters of Indulgence. What's the next story, Catherine?
How about the walk with Don?
Oh, Dan. Dan, oh, okay. Let me go to hate. I'm going to back up. The first hate experience from this book was in Brookings at the library launch, 2 days after we had done the big pizza launch. And we have the banner. Did you see the banner coming in of the None Better banner? And I am inside giving the presentation, signing books, mingling with people. People are joyfully happy. 50, 60, 70, 80 people in there. I don't know how many. And the next day, I hear the story from my 94-year-old friend, Cindy. And she goes, Joanie, I have to tell you that there was a man outside the conference room where you were, and he was grabbing the banner, and he wanted to rip it down, and he kept saying, this is wrong, they should go to hell, they are sinners. And she just looked at him and said, do you even know these two people? Carol and Joanie are the kindest people in the world. Get your hands off that banner. And he took his hands off the banner, and he walked away. But in that process, she's scared, thinking, is he going to come into the conference room? Does he have a gun? What does he want to do? He was agitated. He was infuriated. He was just mean as can be. But Angel Cindy was there to rescue. Think about that. Would you stand up as an ally on that? You know, was that courageous, free, or healing? Oh my gosh, that took so much guts from Cindy. So now we move on to the next hate. I have 3 hate things I'm going to talk about. The next one is at the Episcopal Church, my Episcopal Church in Brookings. And you've been in the church building. So we were having a book study right there in the sanctuary. It was Advent, it was December. And Tony, who was in the choir, Tony had met this person and wanted to come to our book event. So this person joins us, and there's like 8 of us, I think, 8 of us in a circle there. And all of a sudden, this man says, Episcopalians accept everybody. I don't like that. I hate lesbians. I hate gays. And he just had this fire coming out of his eyes. Sitting next to me was Deacon Linda. And she goes, I'm sorry, sir. You're not allowed to say that in here. We accept everybody. If you don't want to be here, you're more than welcome to leave. And he just got more agitated and more agitated and more agitated. And I finally said, you know what? You're talking directly to me. That is me you're talking about. What have I done to you? I have been kind. I've been listening to you and your thoughts about this book that we're discussing. And all of a sudden, you're just throwing stuff like tomatoes at me because you hate me for some reason. I said, I am so sorry you feel that way. I'm so sorry you feel that way. And I start to cry because it really hurts. It hurts so deep when people tell you how crappy you are, or you're going to go to hell, or you're a sinner. Because I know that's not me, but it's like, why do people use those hateful words? So finally, Deacon Linda stands up a little bit more and just sort of forces him to either be quiet or to leave. And I was so proud of her for speaking up for me, for us, for all of us that have been victims, literally victims of that hate. The session ended, and I tapped him on the shoulder. I said, before you go, I'd like to give you a hug if you'd like to accept one. He goes, I would like to accept one. And we hugged for the longest time. It was a hold, not just a hug. And it was like I could feel the peace. I could feel the healing happening between me and him. Have you ever felt that with somebody? You know, and it's just incredible. And so I said, can I even walk you outside? And I walked him outside the church. And he just took off. He just took off. And I came back in the church, and I just sat right next to Linda. And I go, Linda! Oh, Linda! Oh, my gosh! Oh, my gosh! It was so emotional. It was so emotional. Okay, now we're to the Dan story. And this was just a month ago. This is a month ago. It's actually January 30th, which is the day Carol died 2 years ago. And I thought, okay, I'm going to go down to the ocean, the harbor, you know, Brookings. I'm going to go down to the harbor, and this is where Carol and I had our last time together with her ashes sitting on the dashboard of my car. And I said, okay, sweetie, this is our last time here together, sitting and watching the surfers and watching the pelicans. And so this remembrance from 2 years ago, I'm going to go walking down there. So I get out of my car, and I see this guy. He's got to be in his 70s or 80s. He always carries these little weights. He's like 5'5", has a little beanie on, lime green t-shirt, and he's just sort of strutting like this. And I said, hey! And he just sort of looks at me, gives me a weird look. I go, hey, I see you all the time walking down the street. I said, what is your name? I've been wanting to know your name for 10 or 15 years. He goes, I'm Dan. I said, hi, Dan, I'm Joanie. Can I walk with you? He goes, well, who are you? I go, see that car over there? He goes, oh, I recognize that car. You're the one always waving at us. And then you used to have somebody else that was always waving. I go, yeah, that was my wife, Carol. Your wife? Oh, boy. He just kept quiet, kept walking, talking about the birds, talking about the driftwood, talking about everything. He goes, are you a lesbian? I am, Dan. I go, have you ever met a lesbian before? No, and I don't like lesbians. And I hate gay people. I hate you. I said, but we've been having a good walk for 15 minutes. How can you hate me? He goes, I hate you. I'm going to take you to my Bible study group and tell everybody all about you. Yeah, what are you going to tell them, Dan? That we went for a nice walk? I'm going to tell them you're a lesbian, and I hate lesbians. And you shouldn't even exist on this world. God didn't make you that way. I go, how do you know that? I thought God makes everybody in his image. Oh. Joanie, you're a nice person. But I don't like lesbians. Dan, are you okay? He goes, yeah, I'm just trying to figure this all out. You're so nice. And you were married for how long to Carol? So we were together 40 years, Dan. Are all lesbians like that? I go, I don't know. Are all straight people married for 40 years? And he goes, no. I go, sort of depends, huh? I go, how about you? Oh, I've been together with my wife for 62 years. I said, oh, I would give anything. And I start crying to have 62 years with Carol. And he goes, oh, I didn't mean to make you cry. And I go, but you know what? That's what it's all about, Dan. It's about love. He goes, God, I hate you and I like you. How do I do that? And then we get to this part and he goes, well, I need to go up the hill. I said, I need to go back to my car. I said, I hope I see you again. I said, before we go, shall we give each other a hug? He goes, I'd like that. So here we are hugging each other. How does all this stuff happen? How does it happen that all of a sudden we can go from being courageous, being free, and being healed? How do you think that happens? I think it's got to be a God thing. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know where that power comes from, but I can do that, and I feel so free about it. And nothing can stop me. I have no fear, no stress, no anxiety. I am the most joyously free person now, and I don't care if I give everybody a kiss or a hug or a handshake or nothing at all, but I just feel so free. I've got all this love to share because I know it's bigger than us. It's bigger than us. And I believe that every one of us can do that. Joanie, you do that all the time. I see your Facebook posts of your kids that you're with and handing out food to the people that need the food, you know, and I know all of you are doing something. Greg, you're going on that walk in Portugal or Spain. Where is it again?
In both.
In both. You're on that trek, you know, and you're going to find even a bigger joy and peace inside of you when you do that. And what an inspiration. You know, I look at Catherine and her life. Oh my gosh, inspiring people all the time with finances and helping us with reality. You came to my rescue when Carol died. I didn't know what to do. I had less money now. I didn't have much money anyway as a nun, but anyway, that's a whole other story. You can read about that one in the book. You know, but thanks be to God. And I look at Andrew, the nurse that's always pouring out his soul, and at Starbucks. You know, and Mars, God darn, as a therapist, you just let it rip. You let it rip. Then we got Nikki back there, the hostess with the mostess. You're always so kind and gracious in doing what you do. And some of you, I don't know you really well, you know, but that's our calling, isn't it? That's our calling. Okay, next story. Am I rambling on? We got a couple stories more?
A couple more stories and then some Q&A. Maybe if you could talk about some addicts that you've met.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Whew. Whew. That was a great event. I went back to Bentonville, Arkansas. My nephew owns a place called True Self Recovery, and they have 2 detox centers, 4 residential treatment centers, and then a couple complexes where they treat addicts of all kinds. So whether it's pornography or meth or cocaine or whatever the addiction is what they do. Their staff is incredible. So he had purchased 45 books that he wanted to hand out to the 45 patients or clients at that time. And he goes, Aunt Joanie, will you please come and talk to the addicts here? I said, I would love to do that. So I go into this conference room. I've got the box of books. And, oh, thank you, Catherine. I'm sweating bullets here. And so I go into this room, and I'm just talking and chatting with people before we start. And I pull up the book. Thank you, Andrew. I pull up the book, and I go, oh, I'm so glad to be here. We have so much in common, all of you, with me. And they just start laughing their head off. I go, you mean none of you are nuns? No way! Opposite of that. And I said, but you know what? I bet you we're all searching for our true selves. And they were like, yeah. And that hit it. So just started talking about what they're going through. And I sort of know that world because I saved my nephew, the one that is now running this and co-foundering this with somebody. I saved him from Oxycontin, where he overdosed twice, took him to the hospital. His mother was going through cancer and other things. And so I was the one who was the hard person. I don't think I can use that word on the thing, huh? Okay, a hard A. To keep him in line and to keep him from dying. And so I'd saved him. So as we start going on this journey with these addicts, all of a sudden people start crying. And this one person is sobbing in the corner, and I go over to him, and I'm putting my hand around him, and he's like 6'4", and he is just literally sobbing his eyes out. He's sitting there, and come to find out, he is an LDS pastor, Mormon pastor. He's never admitted his addictions before. He didn't know who he was as a true self person, and he is just sobbing his eyes out. And I'm just comforting him and talking to him and just saying, hey, everybody, we got to send good vibes to this guy. We need to just make sure that we always keep him in our thoughts. This is bigger than you. It's other people, too. You got to look after other people, not just yourself. You got to be the best you can be, but you got to take care of other people at the same time. And so he finishes sobbing, and then another person starts sobbing. So I go over to this corner, and she goes, I've never told anybody this before, but I'm bisexual. So she'd never shared that before in her life. And I said, it doesn't matter to any of us, does it? Nobody spoke up. No, we like you. I forget her name. We want you to be a part of our group. Then this young man in the back says, will you be my aunt? Will you be my sister? Will you be my grandma? Because there was a connection made. Then this other guy stands up and he goes, I've written a poem for you. And he read this poem that was just, oh my gosh, it blew me away. It was his whole heart. That whole time during the talk that I was giving in the presentation, he was writing this poem. And he did his own coming out of his addictions. He had the courage to write it. He had the courage to hand it to his counselor. And he had the courage to read it out loud to all of us. All because of none better. All because of, does that like blow you away? It does me. It does me. Oh my gosh. Oh.
Q&A.
Q&A. Questions and answers. Oh.
Does anyone need water?
Yes. I got right here. Guess what color?
Pink.
Pink. So who's read the book? What do you have a question about the book?
Are you sending more to the Pope?
And these are, yes.
Oh, okay.
And I know how to do it now.
Well, since they keep stealing none better, then you need to send a lot
I think I do.
from all over.
Well, and my last letter to him was, I said I would like to come see you. I'd like to meet you. And I haven't heard a response. So, but I'll talk to Father Jim about it. You know, maybe we can do that together. Who knows? That's a good question. Do you think I should send it to the Pope?
Yes.
Yeah? Yeah? Okay. You had your hand up. What were you gonna?
How did you get through the loss of Carol? It's only been 2 years.
This book.
Do you talk about that?
Literally, this book did it.
Well, I was going to ask you if that was part of your process.
That was my grief. And Catherine's sister Elizabeth, there were times when we were doing Zoom and I would just lose it on the screen as we're collaborating. She's trying to help me, coach me to write it, and I would just lose it. And she goes, Joanie, do you want to cancel Zoom? I go, nope, just hang in there with me, hang in there with me. And yeah, there was no 24-hour clock. It just flowed out of me, and sometimes I was laughing in my office, and sometimes I was crying in my office, and that was my grief. And if you are a widow or you've lost somebody, journaling, writing is so valuable to do. It is so valuable to do.
I haven't been able to do that.
Yeah. Hook up with Catherine and Elizabeth. They might be able to advise you. Yeah. Are you a recent?
5 years ago.
5 years ago?
Yeah, there are days it feels like yesterday,
Oh
and I'm
my
sure
gosh.
you have the same
I do.
thing. But
Yeah, I had one this morning. It was a little meltdown.
Aw.
You know, with the 1 year anniversary today, all of a sudden I just lost it. They go, where are you? And I go, okay, you're here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
but it does. When you love somebody so dearly, it's hard to let them go. But at the same time, it's so important to let them go. But yet you're never going to let them go because they're always going to be with you.
Exactly.
And who else is a widow in here? Anybody else a widow? Yeah, it's just hard stuff. And then it's not just a widow. It could be a child. It could be
Yeah.
father, mother, brother, a dear friend.
Exactly.
Oh, I've been to enough, back in the days, HIV/AIDS. Oh my gosh, how many funerals did we go to? Making the AIDS quilts. And so I think since I've been around 31 years old, I've been to more funerals. Suicides, kids. Oh, that's a whole other thing.
As I was driving down here, I thought, I'm not gay or lesbian, but I have family members, very close family members who are. And the ones who are out live their lives joyously. And there's one who is so deep in the closet, I don't know if she'll ever come out. And I see the pain she's in. And so as I was driving down here, Joanie, I just thought, what does it take to come out? And I just thought the first word was courage, and she just doesn't have it. So
I think she has it, it just hasn't come out yet.
yeah. But it's a heartbreak for me watching.
Can you talk to her about it?
You know, I haven't.
Try it. Tell her you met me. Give her the book. Yeah, and this, I have a lot of people do this. They read the book and then they say, oh, wow. And then the interaction starts to happen.
Exactly,
Mhm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see her lead a better life, you know, a more free, healed, and courageous life.
Oh, can I tell that one story?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh my gosh, this is one of the best stories in the world. I'm doing an event at an assisted living place. And there must have been 40, 50 people in there. Catherine, you're there at this one. You're there at this one. And lo and behold, at the end, this lady comes up and she goes, "Can I tell you something?" I go, "Yes." She goes, "I'm a lesbian too. I've never told anybody." And I said, "Oh my gosh." And I give her a great big hug. And she goes, "I'm a lesbian too. I'm so happy. I'm so happy." She starts doing this little shuffle thing like this. "I'm so happy. I'm so happy." And so anyhow, I know it's true story, Diane. True story. And so she says, I said, "How old are you?" 84. She's been keeping it inside for 84 years. And that was the moment for her to let it out. And I said, "Did you have a person like I had Carol?" She goes, "Oh, I had my best friend all my life. But that's all I ever called her was my best friend. And she passed away about 5 years ago." But do you remember that day? Oh my gosh, it's so touching. Sorry there, Ray. It's like pounding into my microphone. Yeah, but yeah. So you never know when that's going to happen, you know. And I was sort of out, but not really out. And you read the book and find out all that, because we had to keep it secret. We had to keep it secret, you know. And Carol never liked any of the labels. She never liked the labels of gay, bi, trans, gay, lesbian. She didn't like any of them. She goes, I just love you profoundly, Joanie. That's all I want. I just love you and you love me. So, good questions, good comments.
As it should be.
As it should be, yeah. What else? Questions and answers. What are you thinking, Mars?
No, I would just like to make a comment about, it's not a question, but when I came out, my teacher, my professor told me, "I'm so glad that you came out, and it's very hard to be a prisoner of yourself." Mm-hmm. So actually dawned me like, oh my God, because I did validate myself, like, oh, I'm gay, and my mom told me, when I told my mom, and I told Joan about that she's very Catholic, and I'm like blushing, I think, right now. She told me like, I love you and I don't understand it, so I'm gonna try to understand it. So that's like, until now, it still like rings, and that's a coming out story that I would carry until the end of my life. That I love you, and even if I don't understand it, I will. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
So, love.
You know, and I know many people that won't come out until their moms and dads die. They're going to
Yeah.
wait till mom and dads die, and then they'll be able to come out.
Yeah.
And that's their take on it.
And I salute you for like, writing the book and all that, and I think you had an influence with like the Pope, and I posted that on Facebook, and I was so happy. Even though some people are like, oh yeah, like they're still not honoring, it's just like blessing. Well, that's the first step.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm still like, I'm still Catholic, but sometimes like I don't agree. But like living in Chicago, there is a gay service, and it's not even like super open, but like a lot of gay people by Boys Town, there's a church there at 6 p.m. It is a gay service. So it's a Catholic church.
Yeah. And in St. Tim's and Brookings, we are making headway. Huge. We now have a poster at the beginning of church when you walk in the door, so people can see it from the street, and it just says, all are welcome. All are welcome. And then we have a flag downstairs in our community room where we feed the homeless, and we do other things down there, and it's a great big flag. And we'll be starting trainings, because that's where the direction of the parish and the congregation is going. They want to learn more. 1/3 of our congregation is now LGBTQ on a Sunday service. We don't have huge numbers, but 40, 45 people attend, and 1/3 of that is pretty awesome. I know you belong to a great church here that is so accepting and celebrating. And that name of that church is?
The UCC.
It stands for?
United Church of Christ.
And where's that located, Greg?
Right on Siskiyou. I don't know the address, but
Okay.
Yeah, it's on Siskiyou, not far from Safeway.
you're right by the city.
Yeah.
On a Sunday, you will see their pride flag, their Black Lives Matter flag, the Ukraine flag, the supporting the Ukraine flag is on the north side of Siskiyou.
Yes.
Cool. Cool.
Siskiyou, what's the address? Like,
I have to look it
I'll
up.
look it up.
I just drive there.
Thank you for talking
And
about
what
that though, Mars, because everybody experiences it differently. You know, and even back when it was just all called gay. Now we use the word queer versus all the other things. And if you're going LGBTQ, lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, Q for queer or questioning, I intersex, ally,
Bi or asexual.
asexual, and then
Or ace.
Yes.
and then you have 2S, which I love the 2S because two-spirit, because in the Native American cultures, that's how they, I'm going to use the word bi in place of that, but they believe that a person can be both masculine and feminine, which is beautiful. And then we get into pansexual. We get to all kinds of different kinds of stuff. And I suggest, Google, start to learn all those words. Learn how to use a pronoun correctly. Because some people don't want to be called a guy or a girl or a male or a female or a her or a she. They want to be a they or a them. But to learn that, because that helps them feel better of who they are. I don't know if that
And if
makes
you're ever questioning and you're talking to them directly, you can say you.
exactly. And I like to use their name.
Yes, that too.
I like to use their name.
Exactly.
So Mars, the address is 717 Siskiyou Boulevard.
here at Nashville.
Yeah, for the United Church of Christ.
Thank you so much.
And they are another open and affirming community of faith.
So are the Presbyterians. I'll be speaking and doing the homily on April 21st and May 12th. Dan Fowler's congregation asked me to come and do the homily at their church on those days.
Yeah, message.
Yeah, did I message you on that?
No, message me when.
Okay. Perfect.
So Joanie, I took a picture of the new sign in front of St. Tim's, and what it says around the border, I found really profound. It says, respecting the dignity of every human being.
And then at the bottom it says welcome all or
Welcomes you.
welcomes
The
you.
Episcopal Church welcomes you. And it's the rainbow with the Episcopal flag in the middle.
Right. And so many of us want to belong to a faith community. And whether that's a Christian faith or not a Christian faith, but you want to belong to a faith community. My other faith community, pickleball! that's my other faith community, and I just love my faith community because you can be you. My faith community of pickleball, you can be joyously free. Everybody is accepted. It's just beautiful.